In last part, we saw introduction about the process standards and how these process standards are above the project management processes. So the process standards include the processes for project management, then software development lifecycle, or you can say the software engineering processes, and also the other processes like maybe configuration management and test improvement. So it's a complete, you can say, a complete set of processes required so that the quality achieved per project, project after project, should be very specific and very result oriented and very, you can say, same from one project to another project across a company, and even you can say across companies, because if company one has introduced and they assess their software development life cycle processes, project processes, and other processes on software projects with a CMMI. Then another company, say company two, also have assessed their processes for CMMI. So that means the company one has almost the same kind of processes compared to the processes in company 2 if they are at the same level, like mature at the same level of maturity. So uh, process, when we talk about the process improvement, then we are talking about improving the process from say immature level to a matured level. Like in CMMI, we have maturity level starting from 1. Then there, if there is some more improvement, then you'll achieve a level 2. And then if there is some more achievement, then you come to level 3. And finally, when as per say software engineering institute, if your processes are matching with the standards set uh, by say CMM, capability maturity model, then you are at that high level of standards. Your processes are at that level, which are set by Software Engineering Institute. So if a company one has a maturity level of 5, and we have company two with they also have a maturity level 5, then you can say their processes are comparable and they are achieving very high efficiency in their project processes, and they are doing very exceedingly well. The quality of the product they are producing will be very good and will have very limited number of defects, and the cost will be at the lowest possible, and the time required to execute a project will be the maximum, the minimum time possible for executing any project. So this is the idea of process improvement. Before thinking of improving any process, you first should have a baseline standard from where you can start. So you need to have a baseline from where you need to start. So suppose a company is not assessed for any standards. So you can say it is at level 0. Okay, so that is their baseline. And when they ask some consulting firm to assess their maturity level, then this consulting firm will see how they are doing their work, how these processes are executed, and then they will give some points for each of the activities involved in all those processes, and then they will give some feedback and some improvement areas they can outline, and this company will try to achieve that level. So uh, they improve their process and they achieve this level. So again, the consulting firm will go and see how they are doing their project work. So now they are finding that the suggestions given by them have been implemented. So they can say now they are at level 1. Okay, and then if the company wants to further improve their process, then the consulting firm may again give them suggestions to for areas of improvement so that they will be at level 2. So this company will again do their work. They will streamline their processes, and again they may ask the consulting firm to assess their level. So this is how it works. So you must have a baseline from where you will start your process improvement activities. Software engineering consulting firms help software development organizations to implement a process standard framework so that all software project work is done as per the standard specifications. Once the standard process gets stabilized, then the organization is ready for next level of improved process standard. In CMM, improved process improve standards are known as maturity levels. Higher maturity level ensures higher quality and better project performance. Apart from elaborate maturity models, there is a simplistic model proposed by Deming known as PDCA. So you plan, then you do, uh, and then you check, and then you act. So you plan for say plan for a project, and then you do. That means you will then start executing the plan, and then you will do the check. So you will you can, let's say, you can have some gates, quality gates. So you will check if your process is right, if you are able to execute plan as per the plan you made, and then you finally act, you finally implement. So you implement the improvement areas. So this is known as PDCA and defined by Deming. There are also process improvement models for testing areas of software projects. Some popular models include test maturity model (TMM), test process improvement (TPI) model, and critical testing process (CTP) model, etc. So uh, I have defined these test areas because these are not covered in many textbooks. So because in most of the textbooks they only cover the areas for improvement in the software development life cycle, but testing is now very critical for software companies, and so there have also been test improvement standards, and some of the models to improve testing areas include TMM, TPI, and CTP. In CMM, there are 5 levels through which any organization can improve their processes. They are assessed at level 0 to start with. Some process areas are improved so that the organization can reach at level 1. Improvement in some more areas will make the organization to reach level 2. At level 3, the processes of the organization are considered to be matured enough to cover most of the project and program level processes. Finally, at level 5, all process areas of the organization, including customer and supplier relationship management, are considered to be fully matured. So, at level 5, if a company has been assessed at level 5, that means all the areas defined in CMM. So, in CMM, the core areas include the software development lifecycle areas, including requirement engineering, construction engineering, design engineering, test engineering, etc. And then the peripheral areas include the project management areas, configuration management, quality assurance, and then finally we have areas for improvement in customer relationship management, supplier relationship management, etc., etc. So when a company has achieved at level 5 maturity, that means they have matured all their areas, process areas, including all supplier management, customer management, project management, and core areas. Process improvement standards include process improvement for project management processes, program management processes, and software lifecycle processes. So the you can all these improvement standards have uh, the project management processes. So project management processes include project planning, project initiation, project monitoring and control, and project closure, etc. Then program management processes. So in program management processes, you will have customer management, supplier management, then you can say resource management. So these are program management processes. And software lifecycle processes include requirement engineering, design, software construction, software testing, etc. Notable standards include CMM, ISO, IEEE, Rational Unified Process, etc. So out of these, the Rational Unified Process is only for software lifecycle process. They are not meant for other areas because the Rational Unified Process is only for software engineering processes. And similar to Rational Unified Process, we have waterfall model and then agile models like Scrum and extreme programming, etc. There are certified standard implementation consulting companies who assess and certify organizations for implementing these standards. Organizations who are interested in implementing these standards can contact these consulting firms. So we have some firms which define the standards like Software Engineering Institute at Carnegie Mellon University, then ISO organization, then we have Industrial Engineering (IEEE). Then there are some more organizations which develop the standards. Then we have consulting firms who assess companies who want to implement these standards to improve their processes. So these consulting companies uh, have their they are authorized by these organizations like Software Engineering Institute or ISO to assess and certify the processes of their customers. Here is the PDCA model. So you plan and then you do and you check and then finally act. So act means you implement. So you start from planning and you check your planning and then you finally execute. Then here I am showing some process improvement models for testing area, because these areas are not covered in other books. So one of them is TMM, testing maturity model. So at this is very similar to CMM model. So CMM model is for the entire processes inside any organization for executing projects, but TMM is for testing area only. So in TMM level 1, we have ad hoc testing. So the testing activities are not planned well. So whenever there is some testing is required, then uh, there is some kind of test planning, and then test execution takes place. So it is not a very thorough test planning, and then you know executing those plans. Then if at level 2, TMM level 2, there will be some test policy and goals. So you, At level 2, any organization must have some policies in place for testing and some goals defined before executing any testing activities. When at level 3, the testing activities will be totally integrated with the development activities, software development activities. Then at level 4, we have metrics and measurements. So metrics and measurements come in picture when you have very thorough processes which can be measured. So if your processes can be measured, then you can have the metrics. So you take the measurements, and then you take down those measurements, and then see how you are faring, how your testing activities are going, as per the planning done for testing. And finally, at level 5, there will be continuous test improvement. So at level 5, if a company is at level 5, that means all their testing activities have the metrics in place, the measurements are good, like uh, how many defects are being found in how much time, how many resources are needed for certain uh, test activities, and how all the other testing activities are going on, like uh, the creation of testing data, creation of test cases, execution of test cases, and how is the defect life cycle, etc. Then in TPI model, we have four areas. One is life cycle, test life cycle. So test life cycle will have the test life cycle, like creation of the test cases and execution of the test cases, and then defect cycles. So defect cycle means when a test fails, that means there is a defect. So there will be defect tracking takes place with the test. The failed test will be assigned to a developer, and the developer fixes the defect, and then this fixing is again checked, and if it is found, then the defect is closed. So this is defect life cycle. So the company will have very good defect cycle and test cycles to cover in the life cycle. And then organization level, so there should be policies and initiatives in place for testing. So there will be test plan, there will be a test strategy, there will be schedule for creation of test beds, creation of test data, creation of test cases, etc. Then infrastructure and tools. So there should be good knowledge, so knowledge about testing. So for example, if automation testing is done, so there should be good knowledge about automation. If certain kind of tests are needed, then people have the knowledge to execute them. For example, say we have to test boundary level analysis, we have to do some decision tree testing. So all these knowledge will be available to the testing team. And then skills. So skills will be the skills of the testers will be high. The testers will have the skills to do all kinds of testing. And then tools. The testing tools will be available with the testing team. So tools may include, say, the test creation tools, and then a repository of these test cases, and integration of the test cases with the with the requirement specifications, and then automation tools may be available, and then tools for taking the measurements. So all those will be available. Then techniques. So techniques may include the planning, the test planning, the estimation, etc. And now we see the CTP. So in the CTP, all the testing activities are divided into two. So one includes the quantitative improvement areas, another one is qualitative improvement areas. So quantitative improvement areas include defect detection percentage. So depending on the size of the product to be tested, how many defects should be detected can be determined. Then return on investment. So the testing done by the testing team, and how beneficial this testing is for the company. So how much money they are spending in the testing activities and what they get. So that can be measured from the comparison of defects found during testing, and if those defects were not found in testing was not done at all, and those defects had gone into production, then how much would have been the support cost. So comparing the support cost to the cost of testing activities, you can find out your return on investment. Then requirement coverage. So if the testing is covering all the requirement specification or only part of the requirement specification, so you can quantify this aspect. So you can uh, you can improve, like currently say 80% coverage is being done. So the organization can go for a higher percentage of coverage for testing. Then risk coverage. So that there is a risk involved when testing activities takes place. So risk may include uh, lack of skills, or lack of resources, or uh, the planning is not proper, the estimate is not proper. So with more maturity, these risks will be low. With the if the maturity is not at that level, so there will be more risk. So the improvement area should be to reduce the risk. Then release overhead. So when the software is released, so the testing phase has how much time the testing phase took place, and if the software was released as per plan, and you can compare the overhead in terms of the time testing took with the other you can say other phases, how much time it took for development, how much time it took for design, how much time it took for creating a requirement specification. So you can compare and you can improve so that the time for testing can be reduced further. Then defect rejection. So defect rejection means if uh, a tester has found some defect, and after the developer uh, sees the code and finds that actually it is not a defect, so the defect is rejected. So suppose out of 100 defects, say 10 defects are rejected. That means your rejection rate is 10%. So the one improvement area is to reduce this defect rejection rate. And on the qualitative improvement areas, we have roles effectiveness. So how you have defined the roles for tester, test manager, or automation engineer, and if they are able to perform their roles as defined, so you can the effectiveness can be made better by refining your processes and refining your roles. Then test plan utility. So how good is the test plan? If the test plan was good, so that the execution took place smoothly, or there were some problems during execution. If though, so if there are some problems, that means the test plan was not so good. So there is a need to improve the test planning process. Then team skills. So definitely with uh, the team has to improve its skills and they have to adapt to new technology like testing a new kind of software products. So if the team is ready for this or not. So team skills can be improved by training of the people in-house, or maybe they may be sent outside to get themselves up to the level required for testing. Then defect report utility. So how is the defect report, uh, how the defect report is being done, and if the reporting is proper or not. If a defect report is good, that means uh, there will be good idea about the defects being detected, and how much time it took for detecting those defects, how much time it took for fixing those defects. So those can be improved. Then change management utility. So if there are any changes in the test plan, so how those changes affected impacted the changing the testing activities, so that can be measured and that can be improved. And then team balance. So if the team is balanced, if you have enough number of uh, testers who write test cases, who execute test cases, then you have, if you have enough automation test engineers who will create automation script. Then similarly, the test-based preparation. So if you have some testers who will prepare the test bed properly, etc. So this was all about the process improvement areas. In the next topic, we will see process selection. So thanks for your time and bye for now.